my name is Jerry. In our household, we have several people in our house who require monitoring for high blood pressure. In this exercise, I'm going to show you how to perform a successful blood pressure without having to go to a clinic, drive, use your time, your gas, which costs money. Most things these days people are trying to save most of is money and gas and time. So by being able to perform this exercise in your own home will give you extra time to do things that you enjoy doing with your family. First of all, we're going to need a few things. You're going to need the person who needs to be monitored. We're going to need a stethoscope. And we're going to need a sphygmomanometer, and these come with a cup attached, a ball or a pump, and a gauge. These come in three different sizes. There's adult, there are child sizes, and infant sizes. Be sure to select the appropriate size for the person you are performing blood pressure on. So now that we have our cuff and gauge and stethoscope, we're going to make sure that the person we're performing the blood pressure on is quiet and calm, has about 5 minutes to relax before taking their blood pressure. We're going to make sure that their arm is elevated to about chest level where the heart is located. So feet must also be flat on the floor. As a warning, it is really important that 15 minutes prior to taking a blood pressure that there is no smoking, no drinking, or anything cardiovascular so that the body has time to relax and you get an accurate reading. So we will next take our cuff size for a child, and we're doing this on the left arm. On each cuff there's a little square thing that says left arm, right arm with an arrow to point to the artery. We're going to be placing it on the brachial artery, which is in the elbow on the inside, just about an inch above the elbow. So because we have the left arm, we'll place that on the side. We can feel for a pulse, where the pulse is the strongest for the brachial artery. Well, that's where we'll place the arrow. Next, we're going to fold the cuff around the arm, making sure that the Velcro attaches. Okay. This is where we will need to make sure that the arrow stays on the artery. The gauge can then be attached to either the piece of fabric that is attached to the cuff, or what I like to do is have them hold it. Okay, hold it straight so I can see. Okay. Next we take our stethoscope and we take the bell and make sure that the bell of the stethoscope is going to line up with the artery to hold under the cuff. We're going to put the stethoscope in our ears and remind our patient to remain calm, quiet, and no talking while I am inflating the cuff with the pump. When we pump the cuff up, we're going to look for signs of hearing no pulse in the arm. So I'm going to do that, and I'll explain as I'm going. Okay, we're going to put this here on the artery. There's a screw on the pump itself that needs to be tightened, so turning to the right or clockwise to tighten that all the way, we're going to inflate the cuff to basically stop all blood from flowing through so that we can get our systolic pressure, which is the top number of our blood pressure reading. So we're going to inflate. Hold that second up. You usually want to go normal blood pressure plus, if you know your normal blood pressure, plus 20 to 40 over to make sure that we have an accurate reading. So we've inflated to 140, which is quite a bit higher than what is normal for this little guy. And we're going to slowly release the pressure in the cuff by loosening the screw counterclockwise very slowly so that it comes down 2 per second. And then when we start hearing at the first beat, it'll sound like a light tapping. That'll be our top number, which is our systolic pressure. And then when we don't hear that anymore, it'll be our diastolic pressure, which is the bottom number. So we're going to release. And we have, at our first beat, I heard at 100, and our last beat, I heard at 57. So our blood pressure reading for Lucas would be 100 over 57. To make sure that I have this correct, I will wait a couple minutes between and redo the procedure so that I know I have an accurate reading. One thing that you might want to know is that the gauge can lay on the table. It can be held by a person. It doesn't affect the reading. There's nothing that's going to obstruct anything. So we just need to make sure that we have an accurate vision path to it. And then when we hear the sound of the heartbeat inside of the stethoscope, even though we can see the needle jumping on the meter, it doesn't necessarily mean that's where we hear the first beat of blood pressure coming back through the artery. So now that we've waited another minute or so, we can again inflate. So we'll put the screw to the right or clockwise, tightening. Hold the bell on the artery and inflate. Now we'll release, turning counterclockwise. And again, our first beat was at 100, and our last beat we heard was at 57. So, now that we know that Lucas's blood pressure is accurate at 100 over 57, we can remove the cuff, and he is finished. This is a very simple procedure that can be done in the home. It can be done several times during the day. It is very cost efficient to invest in a stethoscope, which can be bought online or at your pharmacy or your clinic. They can order one. Online cost is about $10 for just your basic stethoscope. And the cuff with the pump and sphygmomanometer is mine. I got online and ran about $13, $14. These can also be ordered through your local pharmacy. And does this being provided at home, provided to me through insurance, also saves me money, saves me time, saves me gas, and lets me do things that I like to do with my family rather than sit in a doctor's office and wait for a scheduled appointment, which I'm going to have to pay copay for, along with gas money to get there, and spend time that I could be doing something else with each of my children. I really would suggest that anybody who has healthcare issues and would be interested in performing blood pressures at home, that this would be an excellent resource to be able to perform your own at home, to save time, money, and invest your time where it's needed elsewhere.